Yeah, and of course there are all of those possible stories and scenarios dealing with race, and I've got to finish soon, just out of mercy, and the.
There's the Hormel meat strike movie.
There's a Hormel meat strike movie, which, I mean, there are good movies that have been made. There are wonderful documentaries that have been made. I'm talking, of course, about what Hollywood hasn't made. No, we've never had so many wonderful documentaries. You're seeing some of them here, of course. We've never had so many wonderful documentaries as we've had, in the last 10 or 15 years. Of course, these are documentaries which have to struggle to raise the money, and then struggle to be distributed and to be seen by people. But there are amazing successes, and I think of Michael Moore's film about Roger and me, which has been seen by tens of millions of people. Remarkable. And so, I mean, the possibilities exist to play a kind of guerrilla warfare with the system and make films and show films outside of the Hollywood establishment. Sure, sometimes you might sneak something in there, and so you always try and see if you can make them forget for a moment who they are and what they stand for. I think David, mentioned the Columbus story. We've had films on Columbus, but I don't know of any film which shows Columbus as what he was, as moved by the capitalist ethic. I mean, is Hollywood going to make a film which puts down the capitalist ethic of killing people for gold, which is what Columbus and the other Spaniards were doing? A great film could be made, and one of the figures in it could be Bartolomé de las Casas, who exposed what Columbus did in volumes, and he was an eyewitness to what was going on. And it would be this scene of this great debate that took place in 1650 in Spain between Las Casas and Sepulveda, another priest who argued that the Indians were not human, and therefore you could do to them anything you wanted to do. Remarkable debate that took place before the Royal Commission of Spain. And of course, the story of Indian removal of the Cherokees in the southeast, of the Trail of Tears. Andrew Jackson, one of our national heroes. I remember learning in school what a Democrat, large D, small d, middle D, Andrew Jackson was. You see, and I didn't learn then that he was a racist, that he, an Indian killer. That he signed the order to expel the Indians from the southeast part of the United States to across the Mississippi, to take them out of their lands. That was ethnic cleansing on a very large scale. I mean, the whole expulsion, the march of the American armies across the continent, and the driving of the Indians from their lands, and then finally into a little space in Oklahoma, which is called Indian Territory. And then invading Indian Territory, which is supposed to be their refuge when oil was discovered there. It was no longer to be called Indian Territory. I mean, this was really ethnic cleansing. But no movie that gave the story of the Cherokees, of the Trail of Tears, of going westward, where of the 16,000 people marching westward, 4,000 died on this march, with the American army pushing them and the American presidents extolling what had happened. And then, of course, the stories of black people in the United States finally told from the black people's point of view. And we've had a number of films about the civil rights movement in which you tell the story of the Montgomery bus boycott from Sissy Spacek's point of view. Or you tell the story of the murder of the 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi in 1964 from the standpoint of the FBI, who are the heroes of this film. When every person who was in Mississippi in 1964, and my wife and I were both there at the time, everybody knew that the FBI was the enemy. The FBI was watching people being beaten and not doing anything about it. The FBI was silent and not present when people needed protection against murder. And then they become in this Hollywood film, the heroes of the film. So, yeah, we need the story of the civil rights movement told from the standpoint of black people, and the story of Mississippi told from the standpoint of Fannie Lou Hamer. We've got to have